Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a little bit later on in the day on the 13th of February 2000. No, I'm sorry. This is the 14th. This is Valentine's Day. Mm, well, I talked about it so much yesterday, I'm thinking, and last night, that I'm thinking that today is the same. But what I want to share with you today, ladies and gentlemen, is this. America has spoken. Whether you know it or not, America has spoken. The voice of the people represented in the House of Congress stated that Donald Trump violated what America stood for, and they impeached him. They went over to the Senate, who had the power to punish him, and they decided not to punish him. They said he was evil. They said well, let me put it this way. What Donald Trump represented, we in America had been taught was evil, was devilish, demonic, and satanic. Lying and cheating and belittling people and recognizing and offering opportunities for hate and racism, all of that is evil. So already 75 million people had agreed with that, jumped on the bandwagon. They say, well, we don't really agree with his attitude and the way he does things, but we agree with what he delivers. He give us the same kind of people that he is at the federal level in judgments and judges all across the country. He put in place people just like him. He put in place people in position of power just like him. That is what the 43 senators who voted to allow him to go free, that's what they represent. Evil. That's what they represented. Having seen all of this stuff right in front of their face, they said, no way. Now, when you had this discussion, they said that at least 87% of the Republican Party still think Donald Trump is master's head. So what they're actually saying is that America is being challenged now, not by politics, but by evil. Let me say that again. America is being challenged now, not by politics, but by evil. They don't even care about the politics. Just that evil wins. Just that the lie gets over. Just that the ones who hurt, the one who kills innocent people get away with it. That is the main concern now. And so the normalcy that we have relied upon is inappropriate, insufficient to deal with the moments of our time. And when it comes down to religion, it has failed. It has come right down this path with evil. And in fact, when evil was really pointed out, you had the right wingers, evangelicals, and fundamentalist Christians, the hierarchy mega churches standing right there with evil. So, this being the situation, and considering the fact that in 1988 I ran as a candidate, or wanted to be a candidate for president of the United States as an independent that was representing God's plan. Nobody heard it. Now everybody knows Satan's plan. So I'm not asking, but I'm going to enter my ambition out there for the present, whether it has to do with the midterms or whether it has to do with the general election 4 years from now. My concern is this, is that God's plan. I don't give a stink about the Republican plan. I don't give a stink about the devil's plan. I don't give a stink about the Democratic plan, and I don't give a stink about a little lesser devil's plan. Because when any of these plans are in operation, there's no Republican, there's no Democrat morally fit to talk about justice and fairness and peace when you got all these people out here who are suffering. I want to remind you, and by the voice of God, I don't care what you say about in the Bible, and I don't care what you say about God. This is the God that I see, a God that who built this earth, a God that prepared this earth to be able to equip, to be able to satisfy whatever needs might come about here for humanity. Then put humanity here, give them his needs, and then make the possibilities for these needs to be met. What is that? That's putting all the resources here on this earth that human beings will need to do the things that they want to do, or need to do, or desire to do. Put the desire, a portion of a desire plan in each individual, something that they can engage themselves in the product, in the process of creating all of those things. And then you engage yourself, making you a part builder, making you part owner. You don't buy nothing that you own. You don't go into debt over stuff that you own. You don't negotiate stuff that you own. You access what you own. And by everybody participating, everybody access. That's God's plan. Nobody without food, clothing, shelter, education, health care be guaranteed to everybody because everybody got a job, their career, that participate in it. That's God's plan. Did the church stand up and say that in the midst of all the lies and hellish stuff that Donald Trump said? No. And if they did, they said it inside them walls and nobody heard it when it came outside. The mega churches don't talk about it. They talk about money, how to get money, planting the seeds, give these preachers your money. And this is the food. This is the stuff that they have fed us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, from now on, every time I speak, I'm speaking about one plan. That's God's plan. God's plan. How many of you believe in God's plan? How many of you stand up for God's plan? When you look at God's plan, there ain't nobody out there homeless. There's nobody out there hungry. There's nobody uneducated who wants it. Nobody out there without health care who needs it. Nobody out there without a job who participates, who benefits from these resources. That's God's plan. Now, who's standing up for that? Are you standing up for a Republican plan, conservative, because you believe it should be this? And in believing this, you got all kinds of people suffering. Or are you believing it's the Democratic plan because you think it should be this? And in the middle of the Democratic plan, you got all kinds of people that are suffering. And in the middle of God's plan, ain't nobody suffering. But who's talking about God's plan where nobody's suffering? Not a stinking person. Everybody, when they talk to God, they talk about dying. When they talk to God, they talk about the cows on 1,000 hills. What they're going to do for a person that's hungry? They don't even show them how to get to the hill or where the hill is at. No, my friends, it is one power that cares for every individual that's on this earth, and it's God's power. And you don't suffer under God's power. And if you're suffering, it's because of those who denied God's plan. I know what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Most preachers out here trying to do what they can to get some money. Me, myself, I live off of $300 a month Social Security. Do you know anybody in the country that lives $300? I mean, you can be a dependent and get more than $300. But that's what I live off of. Why? Because I stand up and challenge the system. And the system says, well, we'll give you $300. But that's just all you're going to get. Well, you know I can't do nothing $300, but it entitles me to stand up and speak against such aggression. Not only that, when I see all the suffering that goes around, it entitles me to stand up and speak for a God that I know exists because I've seen the power, and you pretend that it exists because you say you believe, and your belief does not mean one darn thing to those who are suffering. No, my friends, it doesn't mean one darn thing. So henceforth, I'm just representing God. God says nobody's homeless. God says nobody's hungry. God says nobody's denied the education who wants it, or health care who needs it, or a job. That's what God says. And if you can't meet this plan, you are anti-God. Republicans, you can't meet this, you're anti-God. Right-wingers, evangelicals, and fundamentalist Christians, you are anti-God if you can't meet this standard. Catholic people, all of you, if you can't meet this standard, you're anti-God. American democracy, capitalism, if you can't meet this standard, you are anti-God. And today, as I sit here, what you call Valentine's Day 2021, America is anti-God, proven by what took place last night with Donald Trump. You got the Senate says he is guilty, but we will not convict. And what does he say? You ain't seen nothing yet. We have just begun. Now, who are you going to count on? You know he's been getting away with everything he's been doing. So you going to count on that? I tell you, you better go to God. Because in God, there's no questioning. There's no wondering if it's been met, because ain't nobody suffering. That's a bet.